Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. The establishments working on employing and recruiting national manpower affirm that job opportunities are available at the private sector. The Steering Committee for Satellite reviews in its first meeting goals of the space mission of launching the first satellite in the Sultanate. More than 1.4 billion Omani Riyals is a surplus of Sultanate's trade balance by the end of last September. And Iran says it will not accept any changes to its 2015 nuclear deal. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. Within the framework of the good bilateral relations binding the Sultanate and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and in order to strengthen the mutual cooperation between the two friendly countries, His Highness Royal Prince Abdulaziz bin Saud bin Naif Al Saud, Minister of Interior of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and his accompanying delegation shall arrive tomorrow to the Sultanate on a two-day visit in which he will meet a number of Omani officials. His Highness the Minister of Interior shall be received upon his arrival by His Excellency Syed Hamid bin Faisal Abu Saidi, Minister of Interior, and a number of officials from the Ministry of Interior and Royal Oman Police. The first stage of employing 25,000 Omanis, as per the Council of Ministers' decision, witnessed an active attendance and participation of job seekers and mutual cooperation between both public and private sectors. Officials at a number of establishments working in qualifying and recruiting national manpower affirm that 5,000 Omani job seekers start their jobs in the private sector, and there will be job opportunities for Omanis in other sectors as investment projects are increasing in the Sultanate's free zones. The Ministry of Manpower stated that the government is working to provide job opportunities to occupy the biggest number of job seekers, calling upon job seekers to update their information at the Public Authority for Manpower register. Building national capabilities, preparing, testing and launching the project of the first Cube satellite in the Sultanate topped discussions at the first meeting of its steering committee at the premises of Oman Astronomical Society. The meeting reviewed a briefing of the programme and goals of the proposed satellite mission, such as monitoring light pollution, atmosphere and the Amani environment according to project budget. The meeting also discussed means of supporting this project, the role of the bodies concerned in providing and supporting specialised cadre, the estimated cost, the importance of the programme to the Sultanate, and the mechanism of reserving frequencies needed for satellite communications. The meeting was attended by representatives from the Ministry of Transport and Communications, Sultan's Armed Forces, Sultan Qaboos University, Telecommunication Regulatory Authority and Royal Omani Amateur Radio Society. The Sultanate's trade balance recorded a surplus of 1.4 billion Omani Riyals by the end of September 2017 compared to the same period of 2016. The total value of exports of the Sultanate by the end of September 2017 reached around 9.1 billion Omani Riyals, with an increase of 21.8% compared to the same period of 2016. Meanwhile, the total value of the Sultanate's imports recorded an increase by 18% by the end of September 2017, which reached 7.7 billion Omani Riyals. A funeral procession was held on Saturday for a Gaza fisherman who Palestinian authorities say died a day after Egyptian naval forces shot him off the coast. The Interior Ministry said Abdullah Zidan, 33, was in Palestinian waters of the town of Rafah, which straddles the Gaza-Egypt border, when his boat came under fire. It called on Egypt to investigate the shooting. The militant Hamas group, which rules in Gaza, condemned the unjustified attack. Gaza fishermen suspended their work for 24 hours in protest. In 2015, a Palestinian fisherman was killed in a similar incident. Egypt has been battling Islamic extremists for years in the restive northern part of the Sinai Peninsula bordering Gaza and Israel. As part of the crackdown, it has created a buffer zone along its land border with Gaza and beefed up maritime security. Iran said today that it won't accept any changes to its 2015 nuclear deal with world powers after President Donald Trump vowed to pull out of the accord in a few months if European allies did not fix its terrible flaws. The Foreign Ministry said Iran will not accept any change in the deal, neither now nor in future, adding that it will not take any action beyond its commitments. It also said Iran will not allow the deal to be linked to other issues after Trump suggested that the sanctions relief under the deal be tied to Iran limiting its long-range ballistic missile program. Trump yesterday extended the waivers of key economic sanctions that were lifted under the agreement limiting Iran's nuclear program. But he said he would work with European allies to remove so-called sunset clauses that allow Iran to gradually resume advanced nuclear activities in the next decade. A visiting United Nations humanitarian affairs official on Thursday expressed his concern about the fate of besieged civilians in the rebel-held eastern Ghouta countryside, the capital Damascus, and other hotspots in the war-torn country. Speaking at a press conference, UN Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief Coordinator Mark Lowcock, who recently visited cities like Homs to learn about the humanitarian situation on the ground and the status of UN programs, said he is concerned about the fate of besieged people in the rebel-held eastern Ghouta region, where military operations have recently intensified between government forces and armed militants. Lowcock said he would think about the Syrian people's requirements for relieving sanctions on the country and try his best to call all sides for related discussions. It was Lowcock's first visit to Syria after taking office. According to data from the UN, its institutions provided humanitarian aid such as food, medicine and sustainable restoration projects for about 7.5 million people in Syria per month in the previous year. Indian police said a ferry boat carrying schoolchildren sank in the Arabian Sea off the country's western coast, killing 2 students and leaving 6 missing. The Press Trust of India news agency quoted police that 32 children had been rescued after today's incident in Maharashtra state. India's Coast Guard officials said they are carrying out search operations in the sea using a plane, helicopters and some ships. Boats are often the main mode of transport in remote areas. The first baby panda to be born in France made its first public appearance today at Beauval Zoo in south of Paris. The 4-month-old cub is named Yuang Meng, which means the realization of a wish or accomplishment of a dream. His naming ceremony in December was an important diplomatic moment involving French First Lady Brigitte Macron and Chinese officials, including Chinese Vice Foreign Minister Zhang Yeshui, who flew in from Beijing from the event. Brigitte Macron, considered the panda's godmother, officially announced the name. The cub's parents are on loan to Beauval from China, and the cub will be sent to a Chinese panda reserve when it is weaned in 2 or 3 years. Panda births are closely watched because they remain rare. There are only about 1,800 pandas in the wild in China and about 400 in captivity. Authorities in Southern California said they had discovered the body of an elderly man killed by mudslides that battered the region earlier this week, lifting the overall death toll to 18. The sheriff of Santa Barbara County said the 87-year-old man was located by a search and rescue team in his residence. Rescuers are continuing their search operations, with the missing now numbering 7, including a 2-year-old girl. Heavy rain on Tuesday, which followed 10 months of drought, sent sticky mud and debris flowing from the hills in Montecito. In addition to the dead and injured, 65 houses have been destroyed, while another 462 sustained damage. Still to come in our news bulletin. The fishing port in the Wilayah of Daba is one of the active ports in fishing throughout the year in the Governorate and Masondam. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. The Ministry of Commerce and Industry announced that the deadline for receiving palm date products for 2017 is over. The ministry stated that the products were received from various parts of the Sultanate, adding that they were sorted and classified according to their quality. The ministry added that these products are stored in special areas in order to pack them before it exports. It also pointed out that more than 2,500 tonnes of palm dates were received, while the number of traders reached around 438, which are distributed in various wilayas of the Sultanate. It also mentioned that a number of Omani farmers exported the dates using their own means. The Ministry of Commerce and Industry revealed that the number of limited liability companies subject to the foreign investment law visited during the past year amounted to 427 companies. The ministry stated that this step came in a bid to ensure the extent of these companies' compliance with the regulations governing foreign investment law. The total value of investments volume in Rasout Industrial Estate in the Governorate of Dhofar exceeded 415 million Omani Rials. More than 190 projects were registered in Rasout Industrial Estate by 2017, varying between commercial, service and industrial, out of which 84 projects are completed, while the rest are in progress. The Directorate of Rasout Industrial Estate stated that there is no space for new projects, but the volume investment is growing as companies are developing and updating their production lines. Coinciding with the Sultanate celebrations of Amani Environment Day, which falls on the 8th of January every year, and to emphasise the efforts being exerted by the Sultanate in preserving the environment and its resources, the Governorate of South Sharqiya held a ceremony to mark this special occasion. The event included a number of cultural, social and sports activities which targeted children and families to acquaint them with the mechanism of protecting the environment. The organisers of this event presented a lecture through which they urged the participants to keep public places clean and plant trees to help conserve the environment. The ceremony, entitled Clean and Sustainable Environment, aimed at raising awareness among various society segments about the importance of preserving the environment to involve them in this sort of social responsibility. The fishing port in the Walaya of Daba in the Governorate of Masandam is considered one of the active ports in fishing throughout the year. Fishermen in the Walaya of Daba called upon the government to improve the port and provide it with facilities which help serving the commercial movement in the Governorate. According to the statistics issued by the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries Wealth, the number of fishermen in the Governorate of Masandam who have licence reached 931, whilst the number of licensed boats amounted to 545. The fishermen called upon the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries Wealth called up to expand the size of the port and provide it with more service and development facilities to occupy the largest quantity of fisheries. Now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanate. Clear skies will prevail over the Sultanate, with chances of low clouds and fog late at night and early morning over the governorates of Sharqiya and Worcester and coastal areas of the Sea of Oman. Winds will be southerly to southeasterly, light to moderate. Seas will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1 metre. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The establishments working on employing and recruiting national manpower affirm that job opportunities are available in the private sector. The Steering Committee for Satellite reviews in its first meeting goals of the space mission of launching the first satellite in the Sultanate. More than 1.4 billion Omani riyals is the surplus of the Sultanate's trade balance by the end of last September. And Iran says it will not accept any changes to its 2015 nuclear deal. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.